Welcome back, Kings fans. Now, with free agency slowly dying down and a lot of the top remaining free agents are getting wiped off the board, McNair has got some decisions to make if he wants to sculpt the best possible roster for us heading into next season. And I do believe he has something in store for us. But before we get into today's topic, I'd like to welcome you back to the channel, Kings Digest. We're going to be showcasing all the upcoming Sacramento Kings news, trades, rumors, and anything Kings related will be found here. So make sure you hit the bell up top so you won't miss any future videos and subscribe to the channel. Now, getting back into today's topic, I believe McNair has a plan for us, and his plan is revolving around making moves for Lauri Markkanen. Now, heading over into this report by Anthony Slater, the Kings went hard after the Utah Jazz's Lauri Markkanen earlier in the week, protecting Keegan Murray in the discussions, but putting on the table what they believed was a substantial enough picks-based offer, team sources said. And then Slater also wrote, but they put a deadline to their side of the deal, needing an answer quickly, considering the urgency of the dissolving market. Now, I do believe pursuing Lauri Markkanen is in our best interest. I believe this would be a great fit for the Sacramento Kings, and I will explain why later in the video. But I just wanted to point out that I think McNair is a genius for keeping Keegan Murray out of trade discussions. He is such a phenomenal young player. He's only going to develop more. The fact that he has such a good defensive mindset already at such a young age, and his three-point shot, I mean, he has one of the best shots in the league already, and he's only 23 years old. That's only going to develop further as he's just in the league, as he grows. He is going to be a crucial part for the Sacramento Kings' future, and I'm all for McNair viewing him as untouchable, because in my eyes Keegan Murray is untouchable and we need him on our roster if we're gonna have a good future in the league. But Lauri Markkanen is someone I believe could make a tremendous impact for our team and help solve a bit of our issues, as clearly we have issues of not having enough three-point shooters, and I believe adding Lauri Markkanen, who averaged 23 points a game and 8 boards a game, he also shot 40% from behind the arc, which is unreal from a 7-footer. I believe this guy will, if we can manage to get him, he's just going to add that floor spacing that we so desperately need, especially with the addition of DeMar DeRozan, a superstar. He's a phenomenal player, but he can't really shoot from behind the arc like a lot of players today can. And I mean, that's just not his game, and you got to respect that. But our issues with floor spacing is only getting worse now with DeMar, because he's mainly going to be working the mid-range and post area, whereas Sabonis will be doing the same, and whereas they're going to be sharing the court together a majority of the time, you got two players who mainly operate in the mid to post area, so that's just going to clog up the paint a lot of the times. And I believe adding Lauri Markkanen, a 7-footer who you can just dish it out to if the paint gets too clogged, the defense collapses. If you can manage to find him open for a three, he will knock that down more times than not. And I believe it's a no-brainer if we can manage to pick him up, because that is just a for sure answer to our floor spacing issues. Now, another problem we do have is clearly our size. We are guard heavy, and we don't really have a lot of bigs, period, and let alone, like, our big men are kind of undersized, with Sabonis only being 6'10", and he's not the greatest interior defender. I believe bringing in Lauri Markkanen, who also may not be the greatest defender, just having his height and length in the paint will just have a certain presence. It'll make teams question going into the paint, and you'll have to think twice before you drive in on Lauri Markkanen and Sabonis. But just showing uh, his defensive rating from last season, Lauri Markkanen had a 119.9 defensive rating. Obviously, that's not that good, whereas the average defensive rating, I believe, is like around a 111, 112-ish, something like that. So clearly he is a below average defender with defensive rating wise, but I do believe that having Lauri Markkanen on our team isn't going to, worsen our defensive issues. I believe even just having his length and his, wingspan in the paint is going to just pose as a threat to other players, and that's just going to help us with our interior defense, where Sabonis is a bit lacking in that area. So having Lauri Markkanen's presence is going to impact us, greatly, I believe. And the fact that he's still agile enough and he's still got the length that if he did get switched onto a guard or something like that, he could hold his own better than a lot of fours today could. And so it's just a no-brainer to me. I believe he's going to make an impact on both sides of the floor, no matter if his defensive rating is, a bit subpar. But just having a 40% three-point shooter to help space the floor for the Sacramento Kings is crucial. And if we could somehow keep Keegan Murray and get Lauri Markkanen, this would be insane. And I believe that would it would move the needle in the right direction to put us in further contention in the West, because the West is absolutely stacked, obviously. But if we have the depth, the bench depth, as what we got now, what we could potentially have if we do make this move, I believe we could be a dangerous team in the playoffs. I would predict a deep playoff run for us, as I believe this move would impact us and help with our issues on our roster as we get the 40% three-point shooter that we need. We get someone who spaces the floor. We get the height that we desperately need. And I just believe that Lauri Markkanen's presence on the Kings would be fantastic. He'll fit in with the culture. Him and Sabonis would be a lethal front court. And I just believe that this would be in our best interest to pursue Lauri Markkanen. And I believe McNair can pull it off, as he has been the MVP so far this offseason. He's made, the most stressful offseason for us. He somehow exceeded every expectation, and he's putting together an really insane, interesting roster for us. And I'm so excited to see what he can pull off in the rest of the free agency and what he can put together for us for next season. Now, that's all for today's video. Make sure you guys leave down in the comments what you think the pros and cons of this trade would be and how it could impact the Sacramento Kings. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.